Welcome to Stimulate Conversations, a sexual wellness business discussions podcast that supports the vast range of professionals supporting consumers from a business perspective within the sexual wellness space. My name is Nicole Lamech, your host, and the founder of Stimulate, a B2B sexual wellness trade show held annually in Nashville, as well as many other Stimulate experiences throughout the year. I'm also author of the book Retail 101 from McGraw-Hill and professor of retail marketing at Columbia, Chicago. From head to toe, young to mature, purpose to pleasure, Stimulate Conversations is committed to supporting sexual wellness professionals. Together with industry leaders as our guests, we look forward to delivering trusted and important conversations to help support retail, wholesale, spa, salon, and medical professionals who collectively want to help elevate and support their consumers within the sexual wellness community from an educated and professional perspective. Listeners of Stimulate Conversations can look forward to gaining expert-led insight from industry leaders, ranging from doctors to retail operational experts to industry visionaries and more. Without further ado, let's dive into Stimulate Conversations. Welcome to another edition of Stimulate Conversations, where I'm so excited to welcome our next guest, which is Brian Gibbs, the founder of Refund Retriever. Brian has attended various events we've produced over the years, and he's been a huge resource for online sellers, brick and mortar merchants, vendors, distributors, all sides of the retail and commerce equation. Welcome, Brian.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. If you could introduce yourself with a bit more detail about your professional background and what led you to ultimately finding Refund Retriever.
Yeah. So I started Refund Retriever in 2006. I got the idea because the first company I started was a we sell it on eBay for you company back in about 2004 here in Houston, where people would bring us stuff and we'd put it on eBay for them. This was back before the day where people really knew how to put things on eBay. They didn't have a lot of people didn't even have a digital camera. You know, everybody has one in their pocket. They can take a picture and post something if they want. But this was kind of before the boom of Amazon. eBay was still really big and people had stuff that they wanted to sell. And before that, you could only sell it in like specialty shops. And now they had this other platform to sell, but they didn't know how to do it. So I started a company where we would sell it on eBay for people. We'd put up the auctions, we'd take the pictures, did the descriptions, manage the entire auction, ship it out, and then take a commission from the customer. But we got really good at it. We were selling a lot of product, but the problem that I kind of was running into was every time we sold somebody's stuff on them on eBay for them, we have to find the next customer. And our shipping really started going crazy. And I found out about this guarantee. I went to this like lunch for some shippers in Houston. They told me about this company that they had tried to use that looked for the guarantees to get the money back. And I signed up for them and it didn't really work. So I started looking at it myself, looking at my own tracking numbers, because we were doing a lot of UPS at that time. We were a very large shipper of just all sorts of different items. So I started kind of made like an Excel spreadsheet and started tracking my own things and started getting refunds back. And I was like, okay, well, this does work if you can figure it out and, automate it and make it bigger. So I found a programmer way back when, and we kind of started on the first version of it and took on our first clients in 2006. And we've been going ever since. And we've expanded from just that late delivery auditing to looking at contracts for clients. So large volume FedEx and UPS shippers, we kind of look at what they're paying because there's published rates for every single package going to every single zone, weight, everything's laid out with FedEx and UPS, exactly what the dollar amount for every package going across the country, but they give discounts to those people that do a lot of volume. So we started looking at, kind of benchmarking the rates, comparing what similar sized clients are getting, because there's not a set like schedule of discounts for FedEx and UPS users. So it's basically whatever deal you can get from FedEx and UPS. It's kind of like going to buy a car. Yes, there's a set rate on all those cars, but some people walk out of that dealership getting a better deal than the guy that just bought one, and the person afterwards might pay even more, a larger percentage of that, published rate, as you will, for a car. So that's what we kind of do. We kind of know what people are paying. We know exactly what, accessorial fees that they're getting hit with, what fuel surcharges, and can help them say, okay, this is what you need to save money on your shipping. You can save 17% on your shipping if you get this agreement, and we're going to help you do that. And we also look, in addition to that, we also look at Amazon FBA inventory. So look at the entire life cycle of products that get sent to Amazon to make sure that basically that they're paid for every single item that they send into Amazon. That if something's lost or damaged, that either it's for sale, it has been sold, or they're paid for those damages or lost packages. So there's that one little auditing thing kind of, skewed off other little industries. And at first it wasn't as big as the auditing, but now it's, part of a bigger part of our day is looking at contract stuff, because we have, so many clients now that we know what different size clients are getting. And same thing with the Amazon FBA. A lot of our people that are shipping out FedEx and UPS, more than likely, they also have that same product on an Amazon Prime FBA site. So we can look at that as well. So just kind of encompassing more of their logistics and more of their actual sales.
Okay, very cool. I mean, there's so much there, so I want to kind of like narrow into each of them in a big lot. Because there's our listeners are primarily brick and mortar operators. They're buyers of established retail or potentially smaller retail stores, e-com sellers, marketplace sellers. I mean, we have a wide variety of listeners, including med spas, even medical offices that are now selling what would be defined as inventory. So all of them can benefit from what you just discussed. But I want to kind of narrow it a little bit more. First, I would say it's pretty awesome that you were on the flip side of this equation. So like that gives clarity to you understanding, what it's like in their shoes, if you will. So I think that's pretty great. Yeah. And second, you said, as you were talking, everybody wants a deal. If you're at a car dealership, you want to be the one who walks away with the best deal. Oh, yeah. And so let's talk about contract negotiations, because who doesn't want a better deal when they're negotiating contracts with like UPS or FedEx? So can you kind of unravel what contract negotiations mean to, let's pretend, a traditional retailer or e-com seller? What does that look like for them?
Yeah. So basically what we want to do, we initially just look at what they've been shipping out for the past 10 weeks, half year, and just kind of break down. Are you shipping ground? If you're shipping ground, are they light packages? Are they heavy packages? Are they oversized? What kind of accessorial fees are you getting hit with? Number one, residential surcharges are pretty much what everybody's going to get hit with unless they're straight B2B. But the residential fees, the delivery area surcharges, I mean, I don't know how many now, even when I think there's over 170 different fees that can go on a regular domestic package. And even some of those are broken down by like zones. So like additional handling has 3 different types of classifications. Then within those 3 classifications, there's another 4 classifications each. So it's very complex the way that the carriers bill on that. And the average shipper, number one, doesn't have the time to look at that. And number two, if they were well-versed and understood everything on their invoice, then they're not, they should be paying attention to a lot of other things rather than line by line item on their invoices. So we basically can break down real easily on our side because we've developed the software, we've developed the programming to put in a bunch of data and give us biteable piece of information. That's kind of what we try to do, is take, thousands and thousands of data points. Some data points, we do a contract negotiation. There's over 17 million data points that we need to put on one page to send over to FedEx and UPS. So we're able to do that. So, even if somebody's shipping out, $10,000 a year worth of UPS spend versus somebody that's doing $10,000 a day, it doesn't matter kind of what size they are. There's different discounts that we kind of know where they come in on that and how to get like best in class rates for them, how to get the best discount for what they're shipping out. Or if we see they're doing some stuff incorrectly, or we can help them move. Okay, you're using this service and like a flat rate service, and there's no weight in this, and you're kind of overpaying because you should be on just a regular service level, not a flat rate. We can help with that as well. So there's a lot of times when, smaller shippers or larger shippers, they don't really know what they're spending their money on when it comes to shipping. And number two is they don't really know how to fix it. So that's kind of what we do. We look at where their money's going, how they can spend less money, and how they can actually fix it without becoming, so involved in their data that their other, their real business is
Right.
neglected. So,
Yeah, that's huge. We're always looking to find external partners and businesses that help support the internal goals that they have, which is going to obviously include being more profitable as a company, right? So
Yes.
this is one way to help achieve that. So kind of diving into that and worked out. Can you give us an example of, if you want to use a client, maybe say that, maybe don't, of how much savings that you guys are looking to help potentially give someone when you do this? Because I think this, for me, when I first learned about this years and years ago, was the eye opener. I'm like, why wouldn't a business want to do this?
Yeah, I was just working on one of our clients that we did a UPS negotiation on, and their last weekly invoice, we saved them 45% what they would have spent. So we kind of reverse engineer their invoice. Say, okay, had this not been in place, this is what you would have spent. We're able to basically lower all of or increase their discounts on all the service levels. So all their ground, home delivery, next day years, we're able to get better discounts on those service levels. And then there's also something called dimensional weight, which is basically, if you send out a certain box size, they're going to either bill you by the actual weight of that box or the dimensionalized weight, basically saying, okay, well, this is a box that it's say a 10 by 10 by 10 box, and it's going to be a 7-pound box regardless. So even if it's only a 3-pound box, they basically take the length, width times height divided by a certain dim divisor and say, okay, this is how much we're going to charge you. And they're going to take basically the higher number. So even if there's only 3 pounds of product in there, they might be charged for 7 pounds. So this client, not only did we get better discounts on their service levels, we're basically able to lower their actual weights that they were charged by, I want to say it was 18%. So we basically lowered the amount of weight that they were being charged by 18%. So you get into lower published rates, but with a better discount and all their accessorial fees. We took those down by at least 50%. And then fuel surcharges, we even got down because there's every single box goes out also gets a fuel surcharge on it. So there's FedEx and UPS basically saying the price of fuel fluctuates, and we're going to take the price of a gallon of diesel and put it in this equation and say, okay, this week, and it changes every single week. This week, there's going to be a 13.5% fuel surcharge. So you have a $10 package that sends out, they're still going to charge you 13.5% on top of that. So it's going to be, what is that, $1.35 or something. It comes out in the fuel. We're also going to get a discount on that $1.35. So we're getting a discount on the box. We're getting a discount on the size of the box. We're getting a discount on the fuel and the accessorial fees. When you ship a package across the US, there's a lot of different factors that go into what at the end of the day you're going to pay. And our goal is to look at every single contributing factor of that price to get a discount to lower it. And so that client, because a lot of times, people, they put a bunch of stuff in their shopping cart, as you know, and they go to check out and they say, well, $23 to ship this or $35 to ship it. No, I'm going to go to Amazon, or they're going to go somewhere that there's free shipping, even though the free shipping places, a lot of times the cost is, of course, baked into the cost of the product. So they might pay a little bit more, but they get free shipping. It makes them feel better. So our goal is to basically lower that cost for the client to reduce, number one, shopping cart abandonment, or allow them to get it low enough where they can bake it into the cost of the goods on their site and offer that free shipping or flat rate shipping. That's, that's kind of the goal of what we're doing for a lot of people, where if they're basically eating the cost, which the majority of our clients now really, they eat the cost of shipping and just put it into the cost of their goods. So they're not really transferring that cost to clients. Where when I first started, everybody was, whatever, they didn't really care what the actual seller didn't care what they paid for shipping, because it was just a necessary evil that buyer was going to eat. That's not the case anymore. Amazon fixed that for us. So now the shipper has to really be conscious, or be knowledgeable about what that number does whenever it gets in that shopping cart. So that's what we're really there to do. I mean, about shopping cart abandonment. I mean, it's a real thing that everybody, even free shipping, people have issues with that. So.
Well, I think that's partly due to consumer issues too, not just simply wanting to shop and put it in that cart, right? But that's a whole other story one day. So, yeah. I mean, I love that contract negotiations exist, because I'm going to be honest, it sounds like my legit hell to have to read a contract like that and figure it out. So I'm sure there's someone else out here listening who's like, yeah, I've never even thought about it. They probably didn't even know it existed, or if it did exist, it's the last thing on their to-do list. What to do.
We've seen FedEx agreements that are 48 pages long with just different things in there that trigger. And I mean, there's some very complicated agreements that we can sift through for them and tell them what's there.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I always say is that you don't know what you don't, right? And a lot of our listeners are experts at something, selling that something or a service or a category of inventory, and that's what they know well. The contract negotiators, probably what they don't know well. But that's why I love understanding parcel and work depth, because there's, let's face it, nothing really sexy about it, but there's a lot of sexy when it comes to savings. So that's our goal for our listeners. So I want to also go into a bit more detail about parcel auditing. So we were just talking about contract negotiations, but there's also something called parcel auditing. Maybe a little overlap in some ways. Can you kind of just paint the picture of what a parcel audit is for our listeners?
Yeah, that's a lot easier to kind of get into for clients. It's a very easy thing for them to like sign up with our service. So basically what we do is we download their invoices and look at at every single tracking number. And if historically, if every single type of package except for the like UPS SurePost and FedEx SmartPost, that's like ground economy now, they changed the name of it, but those were like slower services. But everything like ground up to next day airs, they didn't arrive by a certain day or time, they were free. And then COVID hit and the carriers took that back, but they slowly been giving back the guarantees on all their packages. For FedEx, if you're a FedEx My Rewards member, which is like a free credit card point system, I kind of refer to it as, they just have to sign up for a free program and they get all the guarantees back for all their shipments. So like ground home delivery, those are day definite. So you send a package, I'm here in Houston, and you send one from Houston to Dallas, even though it's like a ground or home delivery, that's guaranteed to arrive by the next day, by the end of the day. So if it takes 2 days and that's a FedEx My Rewards member, we find it on their invoice and have the full refund put back on their account. Then we charge them a percentage. If we don't find anything, we don't charge them anything. So there's no monthly fee. There's no cancellation fee or sign up fee. If they don't like us the day after they sign up, then they email us or give us a call and we stop auditing. And that goes, and with UPS, right now it's the next day airs, the International Expresses, and they just gave back second day air AM. So they're slowly giving all of them back. Like, a normal, if you're not a FedEx My Rewards member, then it's only next day airs and International Express, but 90% of our customers are able to sign up for FedEx My Rewards. So we're getting back refunds on everything. Then we look at like some of the address corrections. If they have address corrections on there that they really didn't change anything. Like a lot of times we see they change like the address is something northwest. And for some reason the client, they spelled out northwest and didn't put NW on it. We'll go after that for them. Or if they have a UPS package that they paid for. We see the tracking number. It doesn't move. We don't see any credit on the invoices. So basically UPS will charge them and we wait, a month or two. If we don't see any refund on it, we'll go after that credit for them. So, basically as much like the little things, some of the residential fees we go after. If we see it went to a business, we're going to go after some of those residential fees. They don't give as many of those as the late packages, but we try to get as many as possible. So
yeah, all those little details though that really add up, and again, can give a nice little return to the shipper. Save us some dollars, which is huge. And it's my understanding the way that you guys get paid is a percentage of that. Is that correct?
Yes, it's a percentage of whatever we save, and we confirm all the refunds on their credit on their invoices. So if we go after a certain tracking number that was late, we make sure that refund credit was given back. And then at the end of the month, we send them a list of here's all the tracking numbers. This is why we got a refund, and this is how much you were given back, and this is our fee. So it's a percentage.
So a lot of our listeners are definitely established. They're already shipping. They're probably very curious if they haven't already figured out there's a service like yours out there. But what about those people who are just beginning to ship or they're emerging, whether they're a brand or a retailer or spa, whoever they may be? What advice would you offer them as they're beginning to take those first steps into having to make the parcel plan for their business?
Yeah, if they're a new shipper and they're just getting started, my advice really is to find any like trade organizations or memberships that you're a part of that will give you kind of like a starting discount, because you don't want to just open up a UPS or FedEx account and pay published rates. You want to find some sort of program that you can get some discounts. They might not be a ton of discounts starting out, but they're a start. And then once you start building up your volume, then you kind of reach out to an account rep or to a company like us to find an account rep for you and go deeper into those discounts. But starting out, just find some way to get a discount. I know FedEx, American Express has some discounts. I don't know if they have that program anymore, but they used to have a program where if you signed up under their little umbrella, you would get certain discounts on every single service type. But there's a lot of organizations out there that have memberships, and part of their membership rewards are you kind of get put under this umbrella where you get certain discounts from day one.
Yeah, which is huge. I mean, I would have never known to do that, right? So it's a great piece of advice there. So thank you. So I want to also talk about Amazon FBA auditing, because we definitely have a lot of Amazon sellers that attend our show Stimulate, but also participate, of course, across many categories. So what can you share in terms of that?
Yeah, so it's kind of the same thing. We look at the inventory that you have sent into Amazon. So basically you send in 100 pieces of product. We make sure that either those 100 pieces are for sale, have been sold, and just look at the inventory, the life cycle of it. Said, if it's not for sale, was it sold? Did you get paid? If it wasn't sold, or if it was damaged in some way, then you deserve money for that damage or lost inventory. Or if there was like a fraudulent return where somebody returned some product and it was damaged by the user, or they didn't send back the right item, happens a lot. Or, of course, you've seen stores where people just put rocks in a box and send it back, and Amazon automatically gives them the money back. So, we look at the fraudulent returns, the time frame that they had to return it to make sure it was in there, and just to make sure that every item that they gave to Amazon is accounted for. And if we see there's something wrong with it, we'll open up a case for them and get that money back. And it's the same, it's a commission basis. So it's a percentage of whatever we get back from Amazon on your behalf.
Yeah, I love that. So I want to switch gears a bit and take you on our little rapid fire question journey, which is something I always do here at Stimulate. But before I do that, can you share with our listeners where they would get in touch with you if they wanted to reach out?
Yeah, our website, refundretriever.com. We have all of our information there about every single service that we offer. You can give us a call on our 800 number, 800-441-8085, or shoot me an email. It's Brian@refundretriever.com.
Awesome. And all right, with that, I want to dive into our quick rapid fire. So these are just questions I always like to ask at Stimulate Conversations. Some quick thoughts from you. There's just 5 of them, and you ready to go?
Let's do it.
All right. First question is, what does sexual wellness mean to you?
Sexual wellness to me. That's a tough one. I guess I need to go to the Stimulate and see for number, to start. But,
Yes. Well, we always say, I'll share since you didn't have an idea, we always say it's head to toe, young to mature, purpose to pleasure. So that's what it means to us. So you'll have to let us know what you think after you come. Yeah. And how do you define good customer service?
Customer service to me is responding to everybody's request within a certain time frame that's kind of reasonable for the client. Whenever we get emails or phone calls, if it's an issue that is very concerning to them, then we're going to treat it as such. If it's just, I have an issue here. Hold on here. Sorry about that.
Good. Real life.
Yep. Somebody's already calling us. But, and
again, yeah. Somehow they're
that's
probably slag yet, and you're already getting busy.
So for us, customer service, basically responding to somebody as important as they think that issue is, with the same kind of importance. And like when somebody emails us about something, even if we can't get to it at that time, we're going to acknowledge the email, tell them, we're going to look into it. We're going to work on it. If it's something like, there's some people that have like a tracking number that was late and a client's really pissed off about it. We're going to stop kind of what we're doing and look at that tracking number, see if it's in the billing, give them as much information as we can about it. Cause like there's times where that customer might be calling back in 10, 15 minutes and they need an answer now, or this was something from 2 weeks ago. Okay, well, let me look at that this afternoon and I'll get back to you with as much information. So just kind of, I guess, responding to the level of urgency that is put upon us. I think that's what we do. We do a lot of customer service. Whenever somebody calls, our phone's right here, as you know. We always have email up and going. At night, I have my phone where if it's something of urgency, I'll respond to somebody. If it can wait till the morning, of course, we wait till the morning.
Couldn't agree more with all of that. And what about keeping you personally inspired? What keeps you moving ahead personally?
Personally inspired? Just growing. Like I have on my desk here, I have like a bunch of little like sayings and stuff, like one of them I have, if you aren't growing, you're dying. So we're always like kind of trying to move forward with all the aspects of the services that we have. We're constantly working on our programming for the audit part, looking to make sure we're getting as many refunds for our customers as possible. Or like we're doing the contract negotiation stuff. Okay, well, let's make some of our data a little bit more usable, a little more manageable, something that when we show a client, their eyes don't glaze over when we do a Zoom call with them to show them where their spend is or where we're going to save them money, a biteable piece of information that they can actually look at, get something out of, and understand, and not just have it, I don't understand that, next slide, please. So that's kind of what we're always trying to just improve on everything and do a better job than yesterday.
Makes sense. My dogs are agreeing with you. That's why they're all working right now, all 3 of them. They always like to chime in every time we do a podcast. Okay, so on that, so you kind of explained what kept you professionally inspired. If you were to also answer what keeps you personally inspired, because I've always been a big believer that, entrepreneurship in general, which many of us are, including you, Brian, is fueled by just our personal lives and our professional lives. So what keeps you on a personal level motivated?
Well, I think the whole work part of it, like I always remember like a saying of like, it's, where you work to achieve the life that you've always dreamed of. So being able to do certain things in work that allows personal growth and to do the things that I want to, on the weekends or after I leave the office, and having, a support system in place to be able to go do that kind of personal growth, and to do things like, to go to the ranch and on a weekend and not think about anything, to know everything's kind of working as it should, and be able to decompress somewhere to kind of get away from the office. That's kind of what helps personally, is being able to get away and knowing everything's not going to hell.
It's because you got a great team in place and you have a system that's working. So I love that. Great advice. And my last question is, what is the best advice you have for business leaders?
Best advice for business leaders, to me, never quit learning. I think whenever you think you know everything and you don't think that there's another step to take, I think that's really whenever you start falling back. With everything that I do, I'm constantly learning about the changes with FedEx and UPS. I'm constantly improving the way that we do our contract negotiation, or looking at how to improve little pieces. And if somebody tells me something that I didn't know, or I thought I knew and it's different, I'm going to go look that up. I'm not going to be like, oh, I already know that. I think when a lot of people kind of get complacent and they know everything about where they're at and what they're doing on a daily basis, that's whenever, when you think you're so far ahead, you're really in last place type thing.
Yeah. So, well, once again, I couldn't agree more with you. It's a big reason we have these Stimulate conversations. So thank you for joining us today for that. And hopefully we'll see you in Stimulate, and those tuning in, we hope to see you as well. We also have Stimulate Educate at the show, which delivers education over 30 plus experiences in 2 days, including medical professionals and leaders like Brian that share valuable insights. So thank you again, Brian, for being with us.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Stimulate Conversations offers year-round ways to stay in touch between our podcasts, including a private Facebook community for ongoing and more in-depth discussions, which you can find via Facebook at the group name Stimulate, Sexual Wellness Business Discussions. You can also stay connected via Instagram at the handle Stimulate the Show. And you're welcome to email us at stimulate@retailminded.com. I'm Nicole Leinbach, founder of Stimulate and your host. And together with the entire Stimulate team, we look forward to continued discussions that will, you guessed it, keep you stimulated on the business of sexual wellness. Till next time, stay stimulated.